business is that the petitioner for each item will come forward to the microphones, state your name, and explain what you want to do. Then, the board will ask any questions that they may have. Then, anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinions. If there are sides, a pro and con of any project, each side will have 10 minutes to speak. That's each side, not each person will have 10 minutes to speak. All comments about the project should be presented. This is not a venue for airing personal grievances. If you hear the gavel, you are out of order, and if you persist, you will be removed from the meeting. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the following day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item has been concluded, board members will render a decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architecture Review Board are final. Any person who has a request for a certificate of appropriateness denied by the board may appeal such denial to the Montgomery County Circuit Court. Any such appeal can be filed with the Circuit Court within 30 days of the receipt of the notice of the final decision of the board. We have 7 members present. It takes a 7? Okay, I'm sorry. 6. All right. It takes a simple majority of voting members to pass a motion. All right. I'm Elizabeth Brenna, the chair. Katie Williams, the vice chair. Kalia Bell. All right. Cedric Kimball is not here yet. John Hayden. Jake Johnson. Hillary Morgan is not here. Sam Youse. And Mary Robinson is not here. Our land use staff, Warren Adams, Nikita Ruggs, Sean Rose, and David Babb. All right, first item on the agenda is Vincent Ledlow, 832 Cloverdale Road. Vincent, we know you.
Yes, Madam Chairman. Tonight marks consecutive appearances for me.
We enjoy consecutive appearances.
You were too kind. You made very kind comments last time to the effect. I love that picture of my house with the boxes stacked all over the road. It looks like I'm running a junkyard.
Roofing materials too, it looks like.
I'm working at it.
All right.
You were very kind last time that I was here, made comments to the effect that you were pleased with the, I guess, lighthearted way in which the presentation was made. So I would be remiss if I didn't tell you tonight that I just flew in from Chicago, and boy, are my arms tired. All the joke. I had to get one in. My wife would have been here to present tonight with her stepmother and father, both took extremely ill, and so she's in Phoenix, has been for about a week, and will be for another week. The issue tonight is variance. Last meeting you approved my construction of a 25 by 25 garage to replace the structure that I ran into with my old truck and knocked down. It's not 5 feet off the property line. It is actually in the footprint of where the old garage was. The drive, and it's not terribly clear from the photograph, the drive goes in really, really close to the property line, or what my next door neighbor and I use as a property line, and then it bears to the west some to go in. Moving another 5 feet, when I kind of put it in the backyard, I would have been really struggling to try and get it all the way over there. We asked for the variance of the 5-foot setback, if we may. It's historically accurate to have it in the place where it is. My next door neighbor, Joe Curtis, and his wife, Ann Catherine, have told me that they're good with it, but will of course I'll answer any questions that you all might have. And if you need me to push it down with a bulldozer, I'll do that, but it won't make me smile.
Is anyone in the audience here to speak to this project?
I'm Scott Pierce with the Oak Cloverdale Association. We don't have any objection.
All right. Comments from the board? May I have a motion for the approval of the variance for the garage?
I'll move to approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, Nick, you're on here twice.
Yes, ma'am.
Fence and pool.
Yes, ma'am. So we are looking to put a real live swimming pool in the backyard, but completely hidden from view. My wife did that's Elizabeth's work. You can tell that that's way more professional than me. It's going to be like a 16 by 30 foot pool, fairly shallow. We left off the Who-sized amplifiers that we were going to put up, figuring that would disturb the neighbors. That's a joke. It primarily for just cooling off. Elizabeth has rheumatoid arthritis. The resistance and the swimming and things would be better for her. We've already had approval of a 6-foot fence to go all the way around with the appropriate gates and things. So applied for the building permit. Don't think it'll be seen. Now, I'm way more proud of when I decided the unprofessional drawing off of the yellow legal pad that shows the fence. There we go. Isn't that good? Thank you. That shows where that fence would be in the front yard.
It was perfectly descriptive of what you're going to do.
Yeah, Mr. Johnson, the architect, I'm sure his eyes rolled back in his head and he got sick when he saw what I had drawn. But I tried to show the best I could. We're going to put a garden on the west side yard because it gets great sun, primarily in the afternoon. And we kind of like to separate it from the street so folks don't feel free to walk in and pick stuff. There will be a fence 6 feet with a gate opening out on the back that's already been approved for the pool. So we're not counting on a 4-foot. Okay. Mr. Robert Earl Stewart, who spoke last time in favor of our, so we're going to, the tops will be scalloped, will be done in a shadow box, alternating pickets. It'll look a lot better than that terrible fence in that picture, but that was just illustrative for me. And second project deserves a second light comment. We just bought 2 German Shepherds, and we named them Rolex and Timex because they're watchdogs. And have 2 jokes, 2 projects. It's a joke.
We'll be putting you at the end of the meeting if you have to come back so that you can do a little cleanup after.
But the pool, we're going to have more natural flagstone sand set on soft with sand swept in between the joints. If we can, I just like that look better. None of which will be visible from the street. The pool in that illustration with a little bit of wall and so that's really, really close to what it's going to look like.
Okay. Are there any comments from the audience about the pool?
Again, Scott Pierce from OCA, we have no objection.
Okay, and the fence. Yeah. All right, may I have a motion about this project? Are there any more comments from the board? No, I didn't think. Comments? A motion then, please.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thanks y'all so much, I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. The third item in the under, David Sadler, 1490 Perry Street, fence and pool. The summer is over and we're having fences and pools.
Fence and pools. It's hot in the south. I have some photos. Can I present them to you guys? My name is David Sadler. First, let me take ownership of anything that happened at 1490. As the owner, I'm responsible for everything. I see the partial violation. It is 100% on me. I moved from out east, what we call a bubble, living out east and have access to anything and everything that you want, to downtown, 1490. A street that I've driven up and down, down because it's a one-way, for the last 15 years since I moved here. And just to give you guys a little bit of history on me personally, I moved here in 2002 with a suitcase. And I was recruited to come here to help work on some civil rights stuff, something that I was unfamiliar with. And once the project ended in 2002, I decided to stay here and make my life here. I felt Montgomery I was a kid in the candy store. The historical significance and everything that encompassed good, bad, and indifferent in Montgomery. I also got married, and I have 3 beautiful kids who were born and raised here in Montgomery, Alabama. And being from the north, that says a whole lot, because they have the southern drawl and all. But yes, I used to drive up and down Perry Street, and I thought it was an amazing neighborhood. And once I decided to move there, unbeknownst to me, that the property was available. I got some information, and I'm sure most people are surprised that I'm the owner, because the property was not for sale. It was built in 1914, and all of the history of the house, of the Baldwin family, of that area. I understand the garden districts wanting to keep it authentic. And all I was trying to do was, before I knew the process, was to help beautify the neighborhood. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, I wanted to have the best property in the city, in the garden district. And you can't come short when your neighbor is Milt McGregor. So I literally looked across the street and said, how could I make this property for me and my family, the legacy of my family, match what's in the near vicinity? I saw that he had a stone wall, couldn't afford a stone wall. So I went around the neighborhood, and the pictures that I have for you guys, those are pictures of fences that are in the neighborhood right now, from Perry Street, Gilmore, and Hall Street, from Felder up to Fairview. So that's not even a third of the garden district. The fence that I began putting up, and again, before I knew the process, matches 2 of the fences that are already in the district. The gates that I would like to put up, there's 2 properties in the garden district that have gates up. So I wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. I was following the guidelines. I just didn't know the process. And I had a young lady who was doing some interior design, who was familiar, who was helping me out.
Yes. So once I realized that a gate was going up, I was like, the fencing started, because David's gone a lot. I was working on the carriage house, designing the interior, and, I talked with the fence contractor, and I was like, y'all can't keep working. But because they did not have approval from him to stop, and I guess he had already given them the deposit, they continued to work. And so I talked with David, and initially David didn't even understand what I was saying. I was like, there's a process in which you have to get approval. So he was like, oh, that's just a phone call. I was like, no. After I realized he didn't understand. I was like, no, there's a formal process where there's a meeting and this and that and that. So I had to contact Sean, so that he can get into compliance, basically. And I talked to the gate people, the fence people on his behalf, and I was like, y'all have got to stop. You don't understand. You can't keep working. This is a legal issue. And once they understood it was a legal issue, I believe they stopped the work.
I do gotta say this, because I'm completely honest. There was a situation where they continued work when the neighbor's fence, they took down the neighbor's fence. And I went to the neighbor and talked to her. Spoke to the daughter first, because the property owner was not there. When she got back, the fence was down. I didn't know that they were taking the fence down. I asked her, with her permission, I said, do you want the fence to go up or down, or do you want to use the fence that we're going to put up? She said, put my fence back up, and I made sure that they put the fence back up. And actually, she got a new fence on her property. And in saying that, I think they kept doing, they did the front part by the gates, and that's when Sean came again and said, you know, somebody took a picture and said they're still working, and I got the second notice, and I told them completely stop, take all materials away from the property. We got to go through the process.
Okay. I appreciate your very thorough description of the violation and what you did to stop it. I do want to say, I don't think there's anything this is not a bad fence. It's a very handsome fence. It's just where you're putting it is not the most, we usually don't like big, I don't think that big, tall fences on our major streets, on the sidewalk, are appropriate to our neighborhoods.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and there are a couple of places where that does occur. You know, there's some brick walls that have been there for a long time. And, well, Mr. McGregor's wall isn't all that tall, really.
No, they,
Yeah.
On the back.
No.
well,
for mine.
I know the fence people, the gate people measured.
Yes.
Because when they were planning the design, I did say, hey, y'all need to take into account of what's around here, height, all that stuff. But I think the miscommunication was, because he's not always here. He's traveling a lot, and so there was a mention of a pool possibly being added, so I think they were trying to account for a pool, you know, something that would hide the kids, because he has 3 little kids and he has some big dogs.
No.
What is the height of this fence?
I think I'm 6 feet, it's 6 feet tall.
6 feet tall?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's within
But
the conforms.
it's, you know, there's mounds in his yard, so
Yeah.
there's some parts that's higher than others.
And the goal of the fence, I know right now it looks unsightly, but the goal is to put trees on the outside of the fence so you don't see the fence.
Well, where it's covering the portion that's closest to the house, there's a big hedge there already.
Yes, ma'am. And we're
So
gonna do
you
the
don't
same
see
thing.
it. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would rather you had put the iron fence there, but since it would, if the fence died, then, I mean, if the bushes died, then we've got a fence that really isn't appropriate for the neighborhood there. Is there
And
anyone?
if that were the case, they would be replaced. The hedges would be replaced with more.
Just a little background on this house. A young man from Princeton, New Jersey, named Frank Lockwood, came to Montgomery about the turn of the century. He was responsible for the 2 the additions to the Capitol, the last one in 1912. And for a lot of nice houses on Thomas Avenue and Perry Street and other places around town, and this is a Frank Lockwood house. So when something happens to it, everybody in town is noticing.
I know.
But it's a really handsome house. My friends Mary Robin and Greg Tankersley rehabbed the house.
They're clients of mine.
Yeah.
Well, good.
No, once I caught him in town, I was like, hey, you know, this, you're gonna be in trouble. So, you know, but the fence people were, and I thought they were gonna just listen to me, but I wasn't the one paying, so.
Well, and I was thinking, when you were talking about the plants that were back there and where they'd cleared out, and I thought, well, there couldn't have been much back there because Mary Robin and I cleared off most of that lot when she wanted to put a garden. And then I thought, oh, wait, that was 30 years ago. Maybe something had grown up there since then.
Yeah, and that
you,
lot-
Elizabeth, were still capable of cleaning up lots at that point.
Are you talking about the lot behind?
Yes.
Yeah, the tree had kind of fallen.
And for that lot, and I think I got some pictures in there, all I did was clean out the underbush. That's all I did. I didn't do anything. I was told do not cut anything within 12 inches. We did not. And again, all that's, you're not going to be able to see any of that because of the fence and the shrubs that are going up. But I did agree with Mr. Babb, a 1-for-1. If anything comes down, something else goes up.
Okay.
We're also going to put hedges along the fence of the property of my neighbor in the back, hedges all the way around to kind of make that a little private. We're also going to grass that entire area and add a couple more trees for the unsightly shrubs or weeds that we took down. I'm just trying to create.
Let's
again,
organize
something
this a
for
little bit. What items do we have here that need to have a decision made?
Ms. Brown,
ma'am.
that would be the fence and then the pool, so that the board knows. Mr. Babb and I have met with Mr. Sadler on site a couple of times,
Okay.
spoken on the phone regarding the rear lot, and we've asked him to develop a landscape plan that we will review in order to account for the major change that occurred on that rear lot. So we hope to look at that on a staff basis and have some additional trees planted and the grass being added in there will help with runoff. David, did you want to say anything else, or did I cover that?
Well, for now, Mr. Sadler, I would like you said you would plant sod right there. That's the first thing we need to do is plant some sod
Correct.
right there. We've talked over some options for it, but I have your landscape plan now, but we can go forward after this meeting with other things to go.
Yes, sir. And I'm willing to take any advice that Sean and David have to make it right.
Okay.
In terms of landscape, I think we also give them an allowance of time to do that because, I mean, August isn't really the best time to plant sod, probably.
But the best time to plant is coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up, so to work within the planting season would be fine.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, are you planning on painting this fence a color?
Well, no,
Or
well, the whole
staying?
fence is not going to be the wooden fence. So I think there's a lot of, what is it, wrought iron?
There's gonna be wire, because the idea is to preserve as much as the greenery. If you look at the whole yard, there's a lot of greenery wrapped around. And so what I proposed to Ken and the fence guy is, why don't you do some wire fencing, just where you just need to keep the dogs contained, that's not visible from the street, but kind of wrapped in the interior where there's a lot of foliage already that we don't want to lose sight of. So privacy where it's needed from screening from the street, and especially where the pool will be. And then gates to contain the dogs and the kids. Since that is Felder is a very main thoroughfare.
When you say wire fencing, are you taking wrought iron?
Black wire.
Wrought iron?
Grid.
Well,
Yeah.
because I want the what you're speaking of.
Wrought iron.
But in most of the neighborhoods, or most of the other properties in the neighborhood, that's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I didn't try to reinvent the wheel. I just went and saw what everybody else was doing and said, okay, let's do that.
Well, we were proposing, I mean, it's a variety, I think that's where there's flexibility, because that's not gonna be seen from the street. Black wire or black chain link in those areas that aren't visible.
As long as chain link, unless you're gonna have a hedge, a substantial hedge in front of it, no chain link on the street.
No, that's
No,
what I'm saying.
there's
We're
nothing on the street.
Yeah, we're saying privacy is all on the street, but you asked about the remaining fence. So the rest of his yard, if you see, there's a lot of trees and mature growth.
Where it says Dave Sadler to the left, going down that left side of the far green.
Where's all
That,
these trees?
yeah, all the trees, and then to the back. So that's between my property and the neighbor's property. And then the back of it, so nobody can see that back there.
Yeah, it's all big trees and. Yeah.
And so what was submitted was aluminum fencing
Yes.
along that rear side on the far left on the picture. What is this, 3I? And then on the yellow areas are the privacy fencing.
Okay.
But you've recommended to deny a request for aluminum and recommend, or would he have to resubmit to put wrought iron in that area?
I think whatever we submitted, I would hope that we can get that. I just went with the recommendation of the fencing company based off of what was in the neighborhood.
Well, I mean, I prefer wrought iron fencing too if we're gonna have something fancy, but if what we're talking about is a plain fence, why would aluminum not be appropriate? Warren's giving me a look.
Can I ask secondarily about like wire fencing in those? Because there's instances in backyards where there's wire, like black wire, grid, or
You said chain link.
galvanized.
I don't have any problem with black or dark green chain link fencing like talking about areas like in the back.
Yes, that's
that
what
you're
we're
not
talking
seeing
Yeah.
to secure the area. I
Yeah,
don't
because
see
it's
any
a
problem with
huge,
that.
I think you're on an acre and a half. I mean, what would be most prudent financially is to do some type of wire. And the idea is that we don't want to see the fence there.
Right.
You want to see
Right.
the grid.
Right. Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project?
My name is Daniel Hannon,
Go ahead
and
and pull the microphone up.
my name is Daniel Hannon, and I'm here on behalf of my mother Dottie Hannon, who's the neighbor that he's referred to, whose fence was torn down, and she's lived in the Tabor home for over 50 years.
Yes.
And I do very much appreciate you, Mr. Sadler, owning up to that fence and the other permit mistakes that were made. That goes a long way with me. The issue that we have is that the wooden fence does not comport with the area at all, the historical fence. While he may have given you 10 or 15, 20 pictures of houses that do have wooden fences, there's another 2,000 or 1,500 that do not. And particularly in that area on Felder, which is all I'm discussing is Felder Road, I agree with Ms. Brown that a wrought iron fence on that section is the appropriate fence to have there. There's also on page 23, there's a section, and I would like to also mention, I appreciate your work with civil rights. I'm a civil rights attorney, and I've litigated over 1,000 civil rights cases for plaintiffs. And I had the largest housing discrimination case in the United States for quite some time, so I appreciate your work on that. And I'm with you on that. We stand together on that and want to be good neighbors. On the 23, there's a gap in where the fence is, and we're concerned that a driveway is going to be put in that gap, which would not be another issue, I believe, for the board, but that is a concern. We've understood that he's told people that he wants to make a U-drive, which would include putting cement in there and cutting down mini trees. So we are concerned about that, but our main concern is that front fence, the wood, if that was replaced by wrought iron, and then along the red line that they proposed, that's my mother, that's contiguous with her property. If that also be iron going all the way down where the red line is, so that it would keep with the neighborhood, it would also apply. This board has looked at this before, and that type of fence was permitted by this board in 2022. And it's also what I understand Mr. Rose is proposing, and that is what my mother would propose as well. And I would hope that those small considerations to keep the integrity of the historical district would be approved by this board.
Mayor.
And I'm here to answer.
I'm sorry.
If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Well, this fence at least doesn't have the frontier aspect of a dog ear on the top of the post, but I don't like with privacy fences, period, myself.
Yes, ma'am.
But it has been an accepted practice of the board to allow them in backyards.
No issue.
Forever and ever. I don't know how I feel about having the fence that's on Felder Avenue and covered by a hedge. I don't know whether that's better or worse than, I would rather have an iron fence too, or a cast aluminum fence.
That's what we would like. And talking about building some type of a hedge in front of the fence that's been built most recently, there's a 3-foot drop off right where that fence is.
Right.
And there's only about 1 foot between the fence and that drop off. It would not be architecturally or agriculturally or landscaping possible. You could not do that. You could not build that sort of thing, especially without tearing up the sidewalk.
Okay.
Well, one of the considerations is if you see on that property, they have a lot of those tall arborvitaes, those very thin columnar plants. So that was pretty much the idea. But the need for privacy comes from the fact that the pool, if approved, will be positioned in that corner of right against Felder. But the gates will be.
There's not really a proper site plan, so that's hard to know.
Okay. But the gates themselves will be more metal ornate in keeping with some of the driveway gates that he showed you. in those pictures that he brought up. And the fence should be painted as well.
And may I add, I know he mentioned that a driveway in that area, absolutely not.
Well, let's not get into something that
No, I'm
somebody.
just trying to say.
No, let's just stick with what's before the court.
Okay.
If they want to do a driveway next year or 10 years from now, they'll have to come through the board. If they don't come through the board, as we all know, that could get trouble. So let's just stick with what's being presented for us to consider
Yes, sir.
tonight, please.
I would also add that if I can find the photo here, it's the next one, sorry. Okay, sorry, it's coming up here. There is an existing brick wall on photo 3R, I believe is what this is. So it's my understanding that the pool would actually be to the left of this area. So there is this existing.
So do you see the upper picture where the carriage house is?
Yes.
Where you see the hedges to the left, but the wall is kind of short, so that's why they're dropping. The idea was to put privacy there.
Since there's no site plan, all I see is that we've got a pool and we're changing the driveway, but I don't have any idea where that appears on the property.
What, the pool?
Right. I mean, I can see where it is in relation to your house, but where is the garage? Where's the garage apartment? Where is the carriage house, if you want to call it that?
I can show you. You see just to the right of the pool?
Yeah.
That square, if you're going up the driveway, that's the carriage house right there.
All right, gotcha.
Yes, ma'am, that's the carriage house.
So that's at the corner of that wall that is the empty lot and Felder.
And if I may add, I think it does deserve mentioning in this case that, as usual with violations, I just need to remind the board that we should really be reviewing this as if the fence is not built. And given the prior approval that Mr. Hannon mentioned, which I pictured in the agenda as well, picture figure 3C, that would be my recommendation, would be something along these lines. The board previously approved of a wrought iron hoop iron or iron hoop style fencing. So I do think that that would be much more appropriate along the street. I'm not as opposed to the privacy fencing on the L shape on the northern part of the lot, where it borders with a neighbor to the north. But those are my comments. I just wanted to, make those comments verbally.
Okay. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Thank you.
Thank you very much for
You're very
your time.
welcome. Is there anyone else who wants to speak? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hi, guys. Christina Cadden, Garden District President. So we were looking over all of the documentation and really judging by the rest of the neighborhood, that size privacy fence isn't necessarily compatible on the street side. And so what we thought may be the best kind of alternative to not waste the fence material, everything you had, was to propose, you had the L shape of the aluminum fencing with the Perry side, or like not Perry Street, but the Perry residence. Does that make sense? And then you had the length ones against Miss Dottie's property, moving the privacy fence that you already have built in panels along that section, which if you want to bring up the overview, it kind of makes sense with that one. So the L shape along the Perry Family Living Trust side, use the panels you already have on the Felder side onto that, and then using the section along Felder and along the back of either wrought iron or aluminum. I personally am not super opposed to the aluminum because I guess it is a significant difference in price, especially with that length. So if the board would approve that, we would be okay with it. I would also suggest maybe for privacy, I know that's a concern, investing more in hedging. I know that would be my recommendation. You can go even smaller in I think 42 inches is the max height that they recommend on the side street. So maybe do a 42-inch so that you have the actual barrier, and then just investing heavily in shrubbery. So you still have that privacy, you still have the fence, but it's not have that blockage that seems to really upset. And then maybe when you get to the point where it is financially feasible to build a wall like Mr. McGregor's, you can go revisit that, significant height. So that's what we would recommend. We're not opposed to the pool. That's fine by me if that's fine with y'all. And that would be our statement.
Thank you. There is one question. If the pool is approved in that one corner though, that's a lot of foliage to fall into the pool. What would be, like if you went with a shorter fence then, and you were trying to get a fuller hedge on that side, because there's the wall, then there would be fencing.
There's more evergreens that what the shrubbery that you already have along the street, I would probably just continue that down. It's something that thrives. Also, that brick wall that you said, y'all aren't planning on taking that down, correct?
No, that brick wall is down.
So, if you wanted to, I know that it is more financially, it's more expensive, but if you wanted to continue the brick wall, that would be something that we, is more.
Height-wise? You're saying height-wise?
That is more used to.
All the way down.
I would say that would be something more compatible. It is more like Mr. McGregor. There is a house, the next street over on South Perry that did the same. Now they did do that in violation, so that's something to consider in terms of the height. But that would be more of what I would say, matching what's existing there with the brick, continuing that down, at least that there is, historical significance to that.
So I have one, I'm open to anything, but I have one question. If we're going to do, even let's say hypothetically we do the brick wall, my goal is to, the foliage that's on that brick wall is to have foliage on the wall. And I know the gentleman said that you can't possibly plant anything there, but if you have that vine that wraps up around the fence, you're not going to be able to see the fence anyway. And one of the main reasons for that, I have a 125-pound dog that I don't want people walking by, doing whatever, and other dogs walking by barking and agitating him. So that's why I went for that there. And the ultimate goal, and I said anyway, was to have some greenery. So my question is, if the wooden fence is there and the same foliage that's on the brick wall that we put on the wooden wall, you wouldn't be able to tell whether it was wood or brick anyway.
So that would probably be more of a question for the urban forester in terms of if that is sustainable.
That's
No,
kind of
it
the
rots
problem.
the wood.
I don't-
It'll rot the wood. I'm sorry, that's your job, not mine.
Yeah, I don't think long-term that would be, if you were planting something over the wood fence, I don't think that would last very long. Obviously, it'd be better to have something else. But I can do my research on it and get back with you on that.
I'm not the urban forester, but I think that, adding vegetation to a wood surface is going to deteriorate that wood. It may not even be a good idea to have vegetation on the brick wall. So I know some people like the sort of ivory look to it, but even that is questionable. Those are just my thoughts on
I tell you, I had nothing to do with the ivy that's on there now.
Right.
I was there
Yeah, I
before
understand.
me, waiting for it's going to be there after me, but
I'm going to sum this up really quickly.
yes, ma'am.
When you buy a house like this, you accept a lot of responsibility that
Yes,
you may
ma'am.
not realize at first.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're sitting here, we're hitting a lick in a snake because we don't have an overall plan for what you do in the backyard. And you need a landscape architect, you need somebody who is skilled in working with historic buildings, and you need a plan before we can make any decisions, because right now, I don't get it. I don't get exactly what you want to do, and I feel like that I'm being asked to make decisions without seeing holistically what everything is going to be. You need a site plan in the worst way.
Would you guys be willing, at his expense, to allow it to be complete just for temporary usage he has 3 young kids and the dogs, and he's not always there? If he has to take it down I mean, it's already mostly up there. If he has to take it down once that happens, I think what happened here was this all kind of ballooned at one time, and it was like, you need to go before the board with no time to really develop that full scope of plan and hire the right people. Like I said, I was just there designing the carriage house and saw how this was kind of unfolding. So I think for now, though, there is a real safety issue for privacy and containment.
I would say that there's a stop work notice for this, and so I would say no to any sort of finishing of the fence. We need to get to a decision of the board, and if the board doesn't feel comfortable right now, it is well within their right to table this petition and request additional documentation. So yeah, that's up to the board.
I have to agree that it drives my wife crazy. I'm an analytical kind of guy. It's just the way my brain works. I've got to see something to really understand it, and I didn't get a chance to drive by the house. Sometimes I do.
Come by.
I would love to see. I love that neighborhood.
I did drive by.
I mean, as far as putting up a fence and then may have to take it down later, that seems like you're going through a lot of expense. I mean, I personally know, having put up fences around my own home and having to have some taken down, that's not cheap. And it's probably not as cheap as it was when I did it 10 years ago, because I know the price of lumber has gone absolutely through the roof. Not that somebody placed tariffs on it to make it that way, but that's another story. But I agree with the chair that we do need a comprehensive, and I really do think once that's done, I really don't have a lot of trouble with anything I've heard so far. I really don't. But I really need to have a good plan for the foliage, for the pool, the fencing, and perhaps put in some alternatives. I mean, I know we have some objections to the wood, and I would like an opportunity to peruse the neighborhood again. It's been some time since I've been that way, to really just see what's really common. I know that we have a lot of different kinds of fences in this city and in the historic district. Some of them went up before historic designation, and you can't make someone take something down and make it historic. But I do agree with the chair that
How would the board feel about putting up a temporary construction fence?
and I was thinking something like that, something that it's not terribly expensive, it can be taken down.
It's really
It
expensive,
probably wouldn't
actually.
hold a dog, though, a 125-pound dog.
Was that kid?
I don't know if a construction fence would hold a large dog like that, but.
I'm sort of the 25-pound dog person, so not the 125-pound dog person.
I mean, I think if it's a temporary feature, I mean, just from a staff perspective, that would be fine in order to secure the premises until we can get back before the board, with more detailed information. And I just want to say out loud verbally, Mr. Sadler, what we're, really looking to do is to make sure that what we put here is going to be compatible with the architecture in the house itself, as well as the existing brick wall. To my eye, that is the main, sort of one of the main issues of having the wood fence adjacent to an existing brick wall. So that's where, for me, I think a wrought iron, fencing along that stretch would be more appropriate and fit more closely with the existing wall there.
And in terms of a comprehensive site plan, it doesn't show how the fence starts at your house. I don't know if it's going in front of your house, if it's going to the corner of the house. It doesn't show how the gates are planning to work on either side. I just see, little yellow squiggles. So
You need a plan.
Yeah, a plan. It kind of like the guy in front of you had, where all the fences and everything's on the same. Where all the fences and everything's on the same sheet. Not, two different fences are here, different gates on a different side. We don't even know the size or width of the gates or how they plan to work. I don't know if they're going to be electrified or not. There's so many different design elements that I don't see being in this.
And I can try to find an example of a.
I was going to say, I know Sean, we've had them before. I mean, they're common. They do take time, and they do take, hire someone to do it correctly and to scale. But, I mean, something like that, we review those things before we come here, and we have very few questions because most of what we need to think about and talk about is going to be on that paper. And then,
And show the pool on that paper, show the fencing on that paper, the fence that came out. I mean, it seems like you can put back the same type fence that was taken out. I guess I was not listening.
No, we put that fence.
No, her fence that was taken down.
That was chain
No,
link.
the-
The neighbor?
It was
Yeah,
chain
that-
link.
that
I
was
mean,
an in-kind
I think if a
replacement.
chain link fence was removed, a chain link fence is okay.
Yeah,
to
that
put
was an
back.
in-kind replacement, so,
Yeah, so,
yeah, okay.
but, I would say it's probably good to table this for a month so there's a chance to get a more comprehensive plan put together.
What's our date for next month, Sean?
Yeah, so that is a good question, John. The deadline is actually this Thursday, so that's probably going to be, a very quick turnaround. So it will likely go to the following meeting, which would be October. That's the last Tuesday in October. So I would recommend some kind of a temporary, fencing situation in the interim period there.
I mean, a lot of good ideas were put out here, but it's not the job of the board to design whatever's supposed to go here. We either say yay or nay.
Well,
So,
we're not doing any better job than
Yeah.
he did because we're not looking at
full and
a
comprehensive
full comprehensive
situation.
plan.
Fourth Tuesday in October is the 28th, so
I have some to kind of add. Ma'am, what's your name? Because I don't. April. The information that you typically present on projects that you have, now for me would be sufficient. As far as placing a fence on a piece of property that's rectangular, I just don't see the big issue as to why it has to be overly designed. I don't have a problem with what was presented. I think that it does need to include the entire lot, and some definitive lines of where everything is gonna be, and, know specifically this line, just like you had, the red line is for this, the yellow line is for that, but we are kind of seeing that wood is not something that, everybody is going for. I personally think you would be able to design something for
Yes,
him.
I'm gonna help him. Like I
And
said,
I think that you
I
would
was
be-
just an interior designer on this one. I was not the lead, but I'll help him reach the Thursday deadline.
I was about to say, I just think you can do that. Because in all honesty, he's willing to pay for whatever it takes to make the house, the property correct.
Exactly.
If he was saying, no, I can't, I'm only gonna use wood, I would feel not as, I would be apprehensive. But he's doing everything. He's letting you know he's willing to do whatever it takes to make it right. So if you could just, for me, and this is for me, if you could just present something where we would know exactly where it's gonna lie, you know how to make it look right and line everything up, that
We'll-
just
we'll-
kind of,
yeah, I
because
appreciate
pushing
that.
it out to October, that for me, I'm more afraid for the people who walk by, because I know you're in a historic area where people do traverse, and those dogs do not need to have any way to get out. They need some protection from
It's a busy road.
the outside.
Yeah, his dogs are huge. They're
Yes,
grown people
yes.
size. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I will say too, I mean, if you can get a site plan to me that is sufficient and complete by, say, Friday of this week,
We can.
I mean, then we can go into the September
Okay.
agenda. So
Yeah.
I just need to emphasize the completeness
Sure.
and that it includes all the elements that the board has asked for here.
And I definitely concur on that. Like the last plan, his wife did it. We just need the material to be.
I don't
Oh,
agree.
absolutely.
I don't agree because of the quality of this house, a Frank Lockwood house. The rehabilitation that Mayor Robin and Greg did on it was consistent with the character of the house. I don't think that you can say, oh, we can just get anybody to draw up. It's not gonna come out right. It's just not. I mean, I went to architecture school. I couldn't live in this house because, one, I can't afford the materials, and I can't afford to hire the people that I would need to plan it. I don't have that kind of material. I live around the corner on Winthrop Court. Bungalows, yes, I get that. I can afford that. We need a motion here.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I move that we table this item, give the petitioner an opportunity to create a site plan on paper for submission either to the September or October meeting, and working with Sean to look at it and see if he believes it's complete and adequate. Again, I think you have these wonderful ideas. I just kind of need to see everything at once.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I know you, April, you've been down this road once or twice before. So, that's my motion to table for either next month or October, to give the petitioner an opportunity to get a site plan submitted.
Sorry, I just wanted to say really quick that if y'all have some time tomorrow, that I'm willing to meet with y'all so that you don't have to push it to October. I know that's y'all's motion, but you know, if you're willing to meet with us tomorrow, I'm happy to talk through with you and help you with CAD drawings and design drawings to help that a little bit more, because I hate that you have to move it a little bit. So if y'all have some time, just let me know. We can get together, because I know we're neighbors.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you a text.
Well, again, you can get it to Sean prior to the deadline for next month, that'd be great. But my motion still needs a second.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? I'm abstaining.
What are we opposed? Okay, so we didn't pass.
Okay, so.
What?
Okay, we got five?
I just didn't vote. Everybody else voted for it.
I was gonna say, it had to pass. We only had one abstention.
Nataki, did you get the vote on that?
I did not.
Let's do it again. All in favor? Opposed?
Okay.
And one abstention, so it did pass. All right, thank you very much. Joel Gregory. Joel, we are happy to see you again.
Good afternoon. I've got two applications before you guys tonight. This is for 302 Finley Avenue.
Yes. The picture's up there? Yes.
Yes, so the first application is for the corbels, and this is the east side, which I want you to see. I've lived next door to this house since 2005, and nobody has done anything to the corbels at all. So the east side of the house has corbels in pairs. The front side of the house has either corbels in pairs or remnants of where corbels would have been that have either fallen off, rotted, or whatever. The west side, which is the next picture, not that. Not that. That's the east side. Another one. Okay, that's the front. You can see where the remnants of the corbels were. That's the west side. So these corbels on this side look like they have either they've rotted or they've been taken down to replace others that have been rotted or damaged. What I would like to do on the west side of the house and on the front side is place pairs of corbels to match the east side and to what I think was the historic appearance. That's all I have on that.
Okay.
Do you want to go to the roof, or do you want to?
Let's
I'd rather deal with these individually, because the corbel thing, I think, shouldn't be all that controversial.
I don't think it's controversial at all.
Okay.
Is there anybody in the audience to comment on this project? Ms. Callaway, did your leg go to sleep?
Laura Callaway Garden District Preservation Association, we do not have any objection to you putting the corbels back like they were.
All right, now the second application I have is for the porch, and I'm glad you have that picture up there. That porch, this is how it was when I bought the house. It's depressing. There's almost no light in it. There's an L shape that's formed by two of the walls that blocks light. The roof of the porch was added later. That's the only conclusion you can draw, just because of the dental molding that was hidden by it, that the corbels had to be pulled down in order to have the roof there. I don't know anybody except someone on Halloween who would like to sit on that porch, but anyway, so that's where it stands now. So as we were pulling the roof off the porch, it revealed the light that was possible if there are some skylights on it. So what I'm requesting to do is put low-profile skylights that can be hidden by trim that would let light onto the porch. I'm not talking about the bubbles. I'm not talking about anything that is going to would be look like something at Walmart. But anyway, that's my request.
All right, I'm just a couple of caveats. I think 3 is too many unless you're talking about something that's just a foot square.
Okay, I'm fine with 2.
Huh?
Which wouldn't be worth it.
No. I think 2 would probably be sufficient. Second is you've already got a really low slope roof, and you need to select roofing that is going to roofing material that's going to be acceptable to a slope that's even lower than that. Is it going to be even like 1 in 12?
I'm sorry, is it going to be 1?
Is it going to be like 1 in 12? What's the slope going to be?
I don't know that.
Okay. Well, you're way flatter already than shingles would do. So it's going to need to be modified bitumen or something like that. That would, and I would suggest the kind that goes on cold rather than the kind that goes on hot, so that they can set your house on fire.
I'm sorry, this acoustic is a little bit bad. Can
Acoustics
you talk a
terrible.
little bit slower?
I talk so fast.
Okay,
It's like
it's not
I'm
your
going to a
fault.
fire all the time. The roof slope is going to be a problem, and they make the stuff that looks like old-fashioned roll roofing, but it's much more. It's a quality product. It's not something you do temporarily. I have it on my porch roof, which is very flat like this one.
Okay.
And there are kinds that you put on hot, which is to say, they have a torch and they melt the seams together, and one that goes on cold. I try to avoid the hot because when the roof catches on fire, the roofer is long gone. It doesn't catch on fire while it's working. It catches on fire while you're asleep. So you don't want to do that.
Okay.
I made a roofer one time who was going to do that, sleep in the house. So
Okay.
I would say with those caveats that I think you need to think about how much light because it's going to make the porch hot too. Except you are on the north side, so maybe it won't make the porch hot at all. But you've got that east and
No,
west.
that is a consideration.
So I want plenty of light on your porch, but we don't want it to, be a nightclub either,
Right.
as far as that's concerned. So I don't have any problem with skylights on the porch. I think this is maybe the second or the third porch this house has had anyway.
Oh, clearly.
Any other comments about that? Laura, what do you think about that?
We agreed with the staff recommendation that as long as they are not visible from the street, that we did not have a problem with the skylights.
All right. I think if they are visible, it will just be you're looking at a little curbing. You're not going to be looking at some, like you said, bubble or anything like that. It's going to be a flat thing. And I think that's a good idea because that porch doesn't look inviting.
No.
All right, what is the next thing? Oh,
Those are the only 2 things I have.
All right, does anybody, let's have a discussion about the skylight and the roof slope. Anybody got a question or comment about that?
I mean, as long as they're not going to be seen from the street, I don't think skylight should be a problem. You need some lighting on your porch, obviously.
Yeah.
So it just seems like it's placed in an area that just the sun's not going to hit it, unless you have something from the.
Well, I really don't want the sun hitting it because I don't want it shining down in there and just intensifying the heat. I just want some ambient light.
Well, I understand, and I think too. I agree. I think a couple of skylights probably would be enough. And if it happens, you think you need more, come back. Consider
fine
giving
with
it,
through.
okay.
My porch has the same north look, and it is a gloomy porch.
How deep is this porch? What's the depth?
It's like 10 or 12 feet.
10, yeah, it seems like 10 feet. I don't know the answer to that.
Because, I mean, when you have skylights, they bring direct sun in. They'll bring direct sun in. It's not ambient light. You'll have direct sun kind of moving around.
Yeah, there will be for a couple hours a day at least, yeah.
From about 10 to 4, 6-8 hours a day.
And the one place you have left after you put in the skylights, you might want to put in a fan.
Okay. Do I have to ask you guys to do that?
Maybe not.
Okay.
All right, can we have a motion about this, please?
Move to approve as presented.
Second? I'll
Are we
second it.
modifying it to 2 skylights down
Yes.
from 3?
Yes.
That's what, yeah, I'm sorry, that's why I said presented, 2 skylights as opposed to 3.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, the motion passes. Thank you, Joel. All right, C.C. and Litchfield Architects. .540 Clay Street in Cottage Hill. It's one of those houses that overlooks the river.
Good evening. I'm playing double duty tonight, so obviously I'll recuse myself for this agenda item. My name is Jake Johnson. We have a minor project to relocate some existing windows at 540 Clay Street. If you look at, let's see, the slideshow hasn't updated yet, but basically 2 things in this petition that we're wanting to do. The first being, if we can go to the next slide, on the rear elevation, which is the north elevation, we want to replace 2 pairs of windows, 2 sets of pairs of windows on the back porch with French doors to match the existing French doors you see in Exhibit 2. The mutton profile will match the existing doors. It'll be a simulated divided glass, aluminum-clad wood door, so it will match the existing profile and configuration of the existing French doors exactly. So that's part of the presentation. The next agenda item, or next item that we'd like permission to do is relocate 2 existing windows. These existing windows are on the east and west side. Basically, what's happening on the inside of the house is that a larger room is being subdivided into 2 smaller rooms for offices. So we're relocating existing window, relocating existing trim, relocating all the existing components of the window to work with the new floor plan. So the windows will be the exact same, they'll be repaired, and will look the exact same as what's there now. You'll just see on the right side of this image the updated location of the windows. One thing that I would like to modify from the original petition, we had a note about relocating the existing shutter that you see on the east elevation, the existing shutters, I should say. The shutters are in very poor condition, and there aren't any left on the east or west elevation, only on the north and south elevation. So we propose to remove those shutters on the east elevation and not replace them. But we'll maintain the shutters on the north and the south elevation.
Are they original or are they just shutters?
That I'm not sure of.
Okay.
They're in really poor shape.
Okay.
But to go back in its place when we relocate the window, the siding will not be patched. It will be continuous, so you won't see the outline of the window when we go back. And the new siding will be wood siding, matching in profile and the reveal as well.
Okay.
And then painted to match the existing as well.
Any comments from the audience about this project? From the board? May I have you're going to comment?
I was going to make a motion.
Okay, thank you.
To approve as presented.
Second.
All in favor? All right, thank you,
All right,
Judge.
thank you.
April Hampton, 1208 South Lawrence Street.
So per last conversation, I am making a request to move parking to the left. As you see on our street, typically the driveways are to the left. I'm the only one with it to the right, but because I'm going to be losing 2/3 of my driveway now, I'm requesting that I install a gravel 20 by 24 or however deep I'm allowed to take it. There's a gate already on that side where the AC is, to just put parking there and add hedges. I've already met with the urban forester to discuss possible hedges, and we'll discuss if this gets approved. Also, going back to fencing, the front, close to the front, only because we don't want people trying to drive beyond that point. Also, addressing the carriage house in the back there's Dutch siding, Dutch lap, replacing that. And I actually have already started that process because we kept having people go into the back house. So I needed to secure it. So I did replace a door with a door that looks like the front door. And I did, because I knew the windows were rotten, would have to replace it. I have started some of the work. Sean gave me a stop work order. But because I felt the need to proceed, one, for security of the building, I needed to start construction because someone was getting in the basement and in that back house. And I knew that what was there currently would not even fly for keeping. Like it was not historic nor appropriate.
Right. Are there any comments from the audience on this project?
We do not have any objections to the proposed changes to the carriage house, but we are not happy with the idea of turning most of the front yard into a parking lot. So.
I've had calls about that too.
Sure. And if you look at it spatially, it is just a corner because I have a little bit more of a yard. Sandra is on the right of me, and I guess what would have essentially been her driveway is mine, and she parks through that. I don't know if that was an alley or whatever that was. So I'm just suggesting that I occupy the left side of the house and add crushed gravel as not to add anything permanent or that would cause any runoff issues or anything like that. And I do believe it would be appropriate to the neighborhood.
Well, I'm looking on page 49. Figure 6E is a rendering of the proposed driveway, and it looks like you want to put a parking pad in the front yard.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to add crusher run to the right. I'm losing, because of the gas line and how tight the original driveway is, once you get up to the house and there's a retaining wall between me and Sandra's house, you cannot open both your car doors. And you can barely open it on the driveway side without scooting out of the car. And once you get to that point, you're gonna impact the gas meter.
Okay, that's on the right side of your house. You're proposing to put a driveway on the left side.
Yes, because I'm losing. With this idea, I would fence off the front, so I know that no longer is a driveway. It's not functional.
Are you gonna remove the concrete, resod it, make it into yard? Because if you're gonna leave it there, you add a driveway and parking pad on the left side, you've cut at least 2/3 of that front yard. Looking at the figure 6E on page 49, I understand you want to move the driveway to the left side, and I can understand that, but if you don't take up that concrete, resod it to, get back some yard, because you're taking a chunk.
Yes. So the idea is that I would just essentially use that as a patio on that side. I would keep the strips, and if the grass grows over and becomes full, that's fine, but it just is now like a little sitting zone.
So basically.
And it won't be visible from the street if you approve the fence, because we want to put privacy fence there to block people from being able to drive down. So we're going to lose that whole length of driveway.
So you're essentially moving your driveway to the other side of the house?
Yes.
Okay.
But you're
And we would just maintain a short driveway to the right, and that's the only place it makes sense. Because originally I thought that we could just put parking in the backyard, and it just doesn't work once how tight the space is to drive all the way back.
I understand that.
Yeah.
You need to have, what is that, Le car? Some kind of.
Yeah, you need a smart car.
Thing. Yeah.
And so if you look at the window, that's not contained within the porch, essentially, and I don't mind reducing it to 12 wide, so there's, if you look at the top picture, you see there's hedges. So I just propose basically trenching, adding gravel, and then adding bordering bushes, landscaping, on the other side. But it would not go beyond where the porch starts.
I have a question.
Yes.
Have we ever thought about maybe relocating that gas meter? Because I don't know why they put it there in the first place. That's
But
really...
they would charge you to do that.
Are they gonna charge
And you would have to move all your gas, that's a...
Yeah.
It's a pretty.
Yeah, there would be I don't know, a substantial expense. I mean, of course, these alterations will be an expense as well. So to sort of maybe try and bridge that gap, what I was, as I was looking through the application, at least from my view, what we could do, because there's privacy fencing on both sides of this house as well that are being proposed. But I would actually say that possibly if we move up the the existing chain link fence and gate, move that up at least, in front of that gas meter, to be able to block the gas meter, and that would still allow you to use it as a driveway. So that may be a solution that's available with the existing materials. This is the gate, figure 6D.
Sure.
I think I put on the agenda if we move it to the front corner of the house, but if we at least move it to in front of the gas meter, I think.
Yeah, then you'd have some room still left in the driveway if you had a small car.
Yes.
No Chevy Suburbans, but.
Yeah, the problem you still run into is the retaining wall it's just at the right height that won't let you, either you have to park really close to the house to let the passenger out, or somebody's got to get out before you get there.
On Winthrop Court, we park in the street if we don't have enough room on our driveways to park. And we get out in the morning and everybody moves cars around. The people next door with their 4 children and 5 cars, it was like the Indianapolis 500 up there every morning.
Yeah.
And sometime in the last year, we suddenly reached our limit with people parking on the front yard. It's not historic. It's one out of 5 proposals we get actually is attractive and works. So 4 out of 5 look terrible, and people are forced to live with it. So I don't see that you can have a driveway on one side or the other, but you're not going to have paving on both sides of the front of this house. I think Sean's suggesting that we just move that gate.
So but again, yes, I can move the gate, but I'm still having the issue with not being able to open up both car doors at the same time.
Right.
Once you it's only like 8.5 feet. It's not even a normal size driveway.
Then you're going to need to take up that whole driveway and have that become long so that you can have this as a driveway.
So you would be okay with me just, I guess, removing...
You have to remove your whole driveway and the 2 sides
and
just totally redo it.
And resod it so that it's a yard.
So let me ask you, if you approve the fence though, like that would start at the front with the privacy, I can't retain that as like a patio area? Meaning the front, I would lose the driveway. I would be okay with losing the entry, you know what I mean, like the front yard portion.
Again, I think this is like the other fellows. We have no plan. We have just, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. There's no plan. There's no comprehensive design here
Well, if you look at the picture,
on
I
a
showed
plan.
I showed the two privacy fences,
I've
just
got
really short
this.
runs.
No, I see nothing on a plan. I see just, I'm going to discuss doing this, I'm going to discuss doing this. People were even looking at, we thought you were taking out the drive, but you're really not. You're leaving the drive up to the house and then taking out paths there. Well, but that's not technically correct. Your whole front yard would be basically pavement and gravel. And honestly, I don't even think you ought to be putting gravel on there because it's going to spew out when it's cut and hit people's cars and or windows at their houses. It's a small yard. I would table this or deny it.
Well, I think that we can probably discuss what you're doing in the old garage or whatever it is in the back. I don't have any problem with that. I think that's fine. I've also had several people call me and comment on the color that you started painting the house.
I'm sorry?
The color that you started painting the house. You haven't addressed it in this, but you started painting the house a really bright green color.
Well, that's an approved color. It's called steam spinach. Me and Sean talked about it. Like, I got the historic list, and I said it would be helpful to have a name associated with the colors because when you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, a lot of times they can't mix it. They just try to color match. So Sean actually was nice enough to send me over the corresponding names, and that's what I chose. It's called Steam Spinach by Benjamin.
The terrible thing about our palette is that if you have a sash color or a front door color, it ends up being on the palette. That doesn't mean that a house is going to look appropriate painted that color. It's too, I mean, this is a color that somebody used on their sash. I think Mickey Stiller used that on her sash on Gilmore Avenue. So just the sashes, a tiny little amount of paint, not the whole wall.
I've seen a couple of houses. I mean, honestly, the reason why, so when you drive on Madison, there's a beautiful house. That's the green color. There's a house, I think on Finley, that's been painted. And I don't know if it's because my house is aluminum that is taking the color differently, but I went and got exactly what the name was.
All right.
Warren, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just think we need clarification about what's happening on the swale as well at the curb cut. You know, if you were going to even consider the gravel, we wouldn't want gravel across the swale either. So that needs to be made clear on any plan as well, exactly what's happening there.
And you said pressure run at some point, and that's really not an appropriate material for a front yard. If you're going to have something crush, it ought to be river rock or something, or use river gravel, use pea gravel. Concrete.
Well, so my understanding is that pea gravel rolls, like I've heard these discussions, that rolls, so that's been a problem. Crushed material has been said to be preferred because it doesn't look like a concrete jungle.
Well, you can get river rock crushed so
Yes.
that it looks like pea gravel. But
I have that at my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it doesn't roll.
Yeah.
The pea gravel is,
Okay.
an ankle turner for sure.
It's called crushed pea gravel. I have that at my house.
How do we want to proceed from here?
All right, we got two things we can do, I think.
Can we, I'm sorry,
Go
there's
ahead.
three, can we look at it, the three parts, the fencing to block off the driveway?
Yes.
The carriage house, and then,
Okay, well, we've discussed the front a lot.
okay, yeah,
You want to add privacy fence on the corner of either side of the house?
yes,
Are you going to have a gate would have to be in one place, I guess, because you need access to the
yes,
backyard.
it would mostly, it's very narrow, so it'd be a double gate. And then on the other side, I actually will have another, it's already a double gate there, because that's how you access the AC and all of the.
So the AC would be on the left side of your house, the
Yeah, it's
gas
on the left
meter and
side.
whatnot on the right. You'd have double gates on both of those.
Yes, that's how they are now.
Oh, I got the same, I got it at my house.
Yeah,
No problem with that.
yeah.
Looking over, is it a carriage house or auxiliary house in the backyard? The one you want to raise some windows?
Yes,
Why did they put windows that far?
exactly, and they rotted.
It was,
Water will tend to
they
do that.
found them sitting on the side of the street and they carried them home.
I don't think it was original.
I don't have problems with the fencing. Don't have problems with the proposals you've made for the carriage house, or I guess that's what it would be. I think you can tell by my comments, got a real problem with what's going on in the front yard with a new driveway. Again, like I said before, I think a new driveway on the left side would really take up, I mean, you're not gonna, you know,
I don't mind losing, I didn't even think that that would be a thing, like to take something away, but if I could have that parking there, I'd lose the driveway on the other side, because that's where everybody else's, subsequently, everyone else's driveway is on the left side anyways.
I think this takes 3 motions.
Okay.
why don't we do, let's do it one at a time. That way I think April will be at least able to start on some things, and maybe we can hammer out some others. I make a motion that the request concerning the privacy fence be approved as presented.
I do have one clarification question on the privacy fence. Ms. Hampton, how far back from the front of the house are you planning to set the privacy fence?
Thank you.
Sure. So the initial proposal is that we just cap it at the start of the house.
So it would die into the corner of the house?
Yes, because we didn't want anyone driving beyond it.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want nobody hitting the house. That's really,
And what would the material be? Are you going to paint it? Are you going to stain it?
the fence, yeah, it's gonna be painted.
Painted and
The
wood?
white trim color, or we haven't decided, or the dark original color of the shutters. I really like that. That's whatever that,
And the material would be wood?
yes,
How tall?
6 feet.
With privacy fences hitting the front of the house, don't we typically request they be set back a foot or two from the corner of the house?
Not really that far.
Or
There's
slightly-
usually a piece of 4-inch trim that turns the,
Sure.
makes the corner, and put it behind that trim piece on the
Okay.
corner so that it stops at the edge of the clapboard. It's not,
Yes,
it stops
so
at
it's
the-
not protruding.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's usually about 4 or 6 inches back, something like that, depending on what the trim looks like.
yeah, and we have to consider the window placement too on the house.
Yeah. All right. Can you make a, John, can you make a?
I'll withdraw the previous motion. I move to approve installation of the privacy fences as presented.
All right.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right.
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Next, we've got the work on the former garage.
Move to approve the request for work on the carriage house as presented.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? All right. What about the proposed gravel driveway, parking pad and walkway?
Move to deny the petitioner's request based on the fact that it will basically take 2/3 of the front yard. I don't believe that's in keeping with the aesthetics of the historic nature of the home. Certainly give Ms. Hampton an opportunity to file an amended petition if she'd like, to see if we can work something out. But at this time, the request, and I'm looking specifically page 49, figure 6E, indicating a large portion of the front yard will be taken up with concrete and or crushed rock or pebble,
And parked cars.
and cars parked in front of the home, which again is something not in keeping with the nature of the historic district. So I move that this request be denied.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Did that pass? Yeah, I guess it did, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
and
that
again,
motion
April,
will pass.
if you could come up with something to, break up, get rid of the concrete on the right side, put it on the left side, and I know having to back out is pain. I did it for my wife and I. She always left before I did because she was a teacher. And our driveway is barely big enough to put the cars behind, and I would have to back out on Maston Lane every morning at 6:30 so she could go to work. I would never ask to put a parking pad in the front yard because we don't have a big front yard, just like this home, so I know the problems.
Yeah, that's the complication.
This will be much more attractive to any buyer. I can understand that, but,
And if I'm saying is if I agree to lose the driveway on the right side, could I have the parking?
I don't think a 20-foot wide parking pad is appropriate, even without the driveway on the right-hand side. That's enough to fit two cars. Yeah, it's a parking lot in the front yard, and I don't think it's appropriate for the neighborhood.
I don't know how wide you can make a driveway in a home like this where you could put two cars side by side. These homes were built, of course, most people only had one automobile in the entire family, so it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Of course, now everybody has their own car.
And that's the conundrum with trying to draw families back to these neighborhoods. And that's where I think there has to be behind the door conversations about how do you merge the two realities where you have people out east who would love to live in these neighborhoods, but parking is a big problem.
The homes were built in the 30s. Fort Myers is in the 20s.
Yeah.
And, the idea that everybody in the household would have a car was just unthinkable.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, and we do need to move forward. And on the agenda, I think the main issue here, the motion has been passed at this point, but and you're welcome to resubmit another application if it's substantially different. But the issue here is the relatively small nature of this front yard.
Yeah.
It's just there's no way around it. It's very small, and as John pointed out, if we're adding in gravel and parked cars in front of the house, it's very different than a car offset, on the driveway. It's just different. So, it would substantially impact the feeling of the residents. So, the motion has passed. I'm, happy to talk with you more, and we can possibly come back with another amended
And we'll be here if you come up with something else, April. We'll happy to look at it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 710 Slager, 415 and 419 Gulfway Street, your 7 and 8.
Good evening, I'm Tim Slager. I'm the architect for the project at 415 South Goldway. A couple of things, just the history of the building. Obviously, it's kind of existing commercial building. I think it was the Brinks bank vault at one point, just south of 5 Points. And the existing driveway and parking area, obviously in very poor condition. So basically here to ask for permission to basically put a new driveway in and kind of expand the parking area, in addition to putting a trash compactor and a screen for that as well. We're not proposing to do anything for the building at the time or anything for the existing fence out front. So just basically all we're asking for, and I think there's a second one that's for the parking variation for the 2 spaces in the front.
Have you used this grass paper system before?
Have I used it before?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I have.
Because I haven't had good success with most grass paper systems, but this one is different, and I just wondered if perhaps it was better. It's hot here. Grass gets hot.
It does get hot. It definitely takes maintenance to
And it
keep it
does.
up. But I do think it's in the sense of the aesthetics, I think it's a very good looking product. Again, assuming that you can maintain it and keep it alive. But that would be the goal, assuming that the property owners will absolutely maintain the property. So again, you kind of see as the the existing drive. But right now, the existing paving, the parking area is really kind of the back portion of
Right.
it. There's a small portion of grass kind of to that lower left-hand corner of it along Goldway. Again, we're going to put a new concrete drive basically around the building, and then the impervious paving would be basically all the parking spaces that we're having. And then in the back right corner, the far back would be a compactor with an enclosure and a gate.
Okay. It would be nice to have a crepe myrtle or two, or something, some other kind of small tree planted in front of the.
I was gonna say, would you mind working with the urban forester, just have a little site plan
Plant
for?
something in front, and not something you'd have to water, but something like a crepe myrtle that will essentially live forever on nothing. It would be nice. When I saw the pictures that you submitted, I realized that this is not the condition that, but the whole notion that street, had all that junk piled in the front yard is just, I can't believe that nobody has called to complain, because it needs to look better than that, but you knew that already. That's not your, the reason that you're here. So, and what is the other? Oh, you need a variance to do this, because it has to be in the first
two layers, yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody from the audience to comment on this project? April?
I live at 447 South Gulfway, and we love everything, all the new construction and stuff, but a lot of the depots, that's what I would call them, are unsightly. Oftentimes, I can't take my kids, I have to go with my wagon in the street, because there's stuff blocking it.
Mm-hmm.
And as a contractor, I completely understand the construction phase, but there's oftentimes where they just leave long tracks of steel and really dangerous, sharp things in the front. And it would be nice if we didn't have to see all of that activity. So if some type of way they can add privacy to the steel, wrought iron, that fencing across the front, so that it can hide a lot of that industrial activity. It would probably look nicer, because though that is a commercial building, it's on a street of residences. And the hope is one day people will develop those properties to be residences and look uniform and nice in the neighborhood. So it would be nice that it didn't feel so industrial,
So your request is a nicer fence than a chain link fence?
Yeah, well, just on the front street, be able to
just right there on the
hide.
front.
There needs to be privacy. One of the issues one of my neighbors has is that their house is adjacent to the other depot on Mildred. And you see all of that activity, and it just makes you feel like you're not in a nice residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
So.
You absolutely address it. I think one thing to put some crepe myrtles, kind of, put a better looking landscape along that front would help that in some sense. And obviously we wouldn't be storing anything in the new apartment configuration. So there wouldn't be any storage at all in that yard. It would obviously be vehicles and/or basically vehicles. So there really wouldn't be any storage there in the future. But I do agree, we could add some trees.
I can't hear you unless you talk close.
We could add some trees, get into the front, I think, to help that, opposed to, because it's an existing wrought iron fence there. So
Well, no,
Oh, okay.
the fence is nice. To be
Okay.
honest, to add any more shrubbery would crowd the space. We have a very thin strip.
Right.
Landscaping would actually probably be more hurtful,
Okay.
especially if the city maintains the pavers.
Okay.
What would be nice is, like, I think the house on Felder, when they did their wrought iron, they added steel, kind of privacy.
That mesh, yeah.
Yeah, something that just kind of distracts the eye from all the industrial-like activity that's happening in the space, with maybe some more ground flowers, like what you guys did on, I think, 415, where you just have, the building is right up on the sidewalk, where you have the nice, plantings.
Okay. Any other comments from the audience? Well, first, let's do the easy part. We need a motion for a variance to allow them to park in Zone 1, which is the front yard of this commercial building.
Before I make a motion, I do have a couple questions.
Okay. Sorry.
That's quite all right. Looking at the site plan, it looks like there's a curb that the way I'm interpreting this is the parking spaces themselves are the grass paver or the grass system. Is that correct?
Yes, the pervious pavers, correct.
So there's a curb, I assume it's a 6-inch curb that surrounds those. In terms of maintenance, usually when I see a parking pad like this that has the pavers or the pervious pavers built in, the grass is continuous from the parking area, and there's a curb stop versus a wheel stop versus a typical curb. From a maintenance perspective, I'm just curious. Getting lawnmowers in there and in the corner would be challenging.
That's a good point. I don't know if we've thought through that on this point. Again, it's kind of a preliminary civil drawing that we're using to present, but that's a good point. But yeah, right now we are anticipating a curve that goes all around.
Okay. And I may have missed, I couldn't hear the conversation that was being had. Is there a new fence being proposed for the front of the lot? Okay. Okay.
There's an ice fence there already. It's just got growing on it.
That's right. I pass this property every day on the way to work, so I'm pleased to see some improvements happening to it. Is there any improvements to the actual building itself, or this is all landscaping at this point in time? Okay. I can be hopeful.
Baby steps.
I'm sure they're open to suggestions.
That's right.
All right, so we need a motion. Does anyone else have anything to say? Then we need a motion about the variance.
And Chair, for clarification, it's a variance to park in the first and second layers.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the request for variance to park in the first and second layers.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, that was easy. Right, now,
I'm not sure that was, I think, number 8. I think number 7 was just the permission to actually do the parking improvements.
the parking plan and the materials. I'll be interested to see how this system works, because if it does work, it would be really nice. If not, you'll be back here in a couple of years trying to do something else. May I have a motion on the site plan, the proposed parking area, and the materials?
Move to approve the site plan as presented.
All right. Second. All in favor?
I'm sorry, who seconded that?
I did.
Thank you.
There was it was a comment, not a question mark there.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much. And receiving the Patience Award, Vinnie Weinstein, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Good evening. It's been a little while since I've been here, but it's nice to see you all again.
Thank you.
My name is Rennie Weinstein, and I'm representing Bill James. Bill is soon to be retiring to Montgomery. He's in Chicago right now, but will be retiring next month and moving permanently down here. And as such, he would like to do some improvements to the house to make it a little bit easier for some of his older, I believe he has some family members that are, not very well, and friends and stuff, a little bit easier to access the house. He's proposing to install a new driveway, 2-car motor port, and to rebuild the front steps to his porch to make it access to the house a little bit safer and easier. There are 2 large trees on the property, and he's owned the house for, I'm not really sure how long, but I know probably about a year. And one of the first things he did was to contact the forester and meet about the trees, and he's taken some great pains to re-landscape and do some work around, especially the pine tree, to ensure the life of that tree and the health of those trees. And our proposal would not be encroaching on the tree line of what's out there now. But we would be proposing to put in a two-lane, there would be 2 4-foot wide brick drive with a 28-inch strip of grass in the middle. And it's replacing a 6-foot wide brick walk that's existing there now. So we're really not actually adding very much paving to the area that's not already there. And it would the drive would terminate into a gravel motor court at the top near the house. It's large enough for 2 cars to park generously and do a 3-point turn for driving out. The gravel motor court would be bordered by a double-wide brick border, and at one end of the motor court, you can see he would like to expand the brick border by about 8 feet, and it would be a herringbone brick terrace where he'd like to install a garden bench. And at the opposite end of the motor court, he wants to do some landscaping and create a little garden scenario with a focal point, probably a low stone planter or maybe a low urn that would be centered on the bench. The brick border would also kind of hold the gravel in place and keep everything neat and clean, which is kind of in keeping with the house, which is a very classical design, very symmetrical. The second part of the project would be to replace the stone. They're kind of like concrete steps right now, but we would be proposing to replace them because they are like different heights, so they're uneven, and they're also tilted. It's hard to tell from the picture, but the top step is kind of tilted backwards, and then that second step up is really high, and so it's very hard to maneuver the steps. So we're proposing to put an extra step in there, make them a little bit more generous, and flanking the steps on either end would be 2 low brick cheek walls. And the cheek walls would not be flush with the top of the porch. I feel like that kind of conflicts with what's existing there. So the cheek walls drop down about, if you keep going, there's a detail somewhere in the drawings. It drops down about 3 inches from the level of the porch, but it kind of terminates the steps nicely, and it also provides a really nice place to showcase his dog sculptures. He's got 2 really very attractive stone dog sculptures, which he's got displayed now, and this would just kind of give him a nice, appropriate place to put them. The steps join to the parking by way of a new landing that was made out of brick. And we're kind of hoping to be able to salvage all the brick that we take up out of the walkway that's going to be demolished. And if there's a way to incorporate it into the steps, possibly using it for the steps or something like that, just to preserve some of the history. He's very intent on restoring this house back to its original glory, and plans to do some painting of the we consider kind of deplorable color on the shutters and things like that in the future. But we'll have to kind of see how that works with the paving bricks. I'm proposing that we use the Autumn Rumble brick pavers, which kind of have an antique feel to them. But the idea would be somewhere up at the top to incorporate the existing brick, if we can. And we're not really going to be disturbing the landscape. Oh, by the way, that brick landing would be the same herringbone pattern of the little terrace at the end, so they kind of tie in together. Those are just some examples of other driveways on the same street, mostly, or in the area that have both the brick and the gravel and motor courts and things like that. But so I felt like there was a precedent for this, and we're not going to be disturbing any of the landscaping except for 2 azalea bushes right kind of where the steps are going. One of them is dying right now anyway, so it would have to be removed and replaced at any rate. And of course, we would be very, very mindful and very, very cautious about any construction going into the tree area, and, you know, we'd watch what's going on there with a pretty tight eye. But we feel like this would, one, make the house way more useful and a lot safer, because right now you actually have to park on the street and walk the entire way up to the house. And the owner has access in the back alley, but I've lived in the neighborhood my whole life, and I've never driven down that alley, so it's not something that a guest would be able to navigate. And they entertain a good bit, so he would really like to have a nice presence going up to the house. And we feel like this is appropriate to the classical nature of the house and the symmetry and balance of the house.
Thank you. Comments from the audience?
This one is really kind of excruciating for me because the design is so beautiful and it's still parking in the front yard. And that's really difficult for us to support. We understand that if we want people to buy these older houses and do something with them, we've got to make them where they can be livable for the people who are buying them. It feels somewhat hypocritical to say I would support this, but I didn't support Ms. Hampton's. So I guess the position that we will take is that we thought that the staff recommendation was reasonable. If the board does approve this parking in the front yard, then we would ask that there be some additional landscaping where the motor court is, so that that would not be visible from the street.
Okay.
I'm very familiar with that house. I did a remodel on Gilmer, and the way it's positioned and how far back it is from the street, yes, it's parking in front of the house, but the yard can handle it. It's a beautiful design, and I'm all for making these spaces livable for real people. So, thank you.
Comments from the board?
I find it always amazes me, and this is not the only home in I'm sure the Garden District and other historic districts, that this home I'm sure was built 100 years ago, maybe a little less, a little more. No parking. They didn't have a driveway. I don't understand how they could get a horse and carriage up to the home. If it had one at one time and someone decided, let's just take it out of the front yard and put this beautiful walkway. It's a beautiful home. And I agree with April. This is a very large yard. It's a very deep yard. It's a very wide yard. And I do think it can handle the proposed driveway. And really, and understand, Laura, we hate parking in front. We do. And we all just like we hate cutting down mature trees. We really do. But I think, you know, people need to have a place to park near their house without having to drive up an alley and have, you know, they need to have access to their home. I think you've agreed that to put some landscaping here to kind of hide or tuck the cars away, so, and I understand that may take some time to mature, but certainly with that understanding, I think it's probably as good a job that could be done for something like this, and I think it, you know, once it's put down.
There must be a dozen.
Ma'am?
I said there must be 8 or a dozen houses on Gilmore Avenue that already have something like this. With some are very successful, others are not so successful, but I think this yard is big enough to handle this.
Well, I'm sure before historic designation, people could just go in and pretty much do whatever they wanted. So, hey, let's park our cars in front. And again, yes, some of them not bad, and some of them just really bad. This one, of course, with the planning and the detail and the care that I'm sure will be had here, will be an asset to the house. So, with that said, If there are no other comments from the board, I move to approve as presented.
A second? Question mark? Nobody wants to second this? I'll second it then. All in favor?
What was the motion? Say the motion again, please.
I'm sorry?
Say the motion again.
I move to approve as presented, which would include working with the urban forester for landscaping purposes once the installation is done.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay. I think that I appreciate it's not that we can treat we have to apply the rules that we have to these houses and these landscapes, depending on what they are, not in making everything identical.
Well, we can't make everything identical because, I mean, again, and I think folks realize you have a small yard, small lot, you can do certain things, but some things that you just can't do that you might be able to do when you have a large yard and a big lot and with maybe an acre and a half of land. Not every situation is the same.
Just a question. Do I remember some kind of Mount Vernon-esque balustrade on top of that porch?
I'm sorry?
Some kind of Mount Vernon-esque balustrade that's on the top of that porch. There's nothing there now, but do I remember one being there? I think, why am I remembering that? Or did I just, my mind think it needed to be there, so I saw it?
I don't see any evidence of it.
Okay.
It's been there before.
Okay.
No holes punctured.
All right.
Nothing in the columns.
All right.
So I think
Maybe it's because those columns are so thin. You think it needs something, I think it needs something like
yeah,
that.
we're definitely, like, once he gets this done, he wants to go in and do some things on the front of the house to restore it back
Okay.
to what it was originally.
Well, it's a beautiful house.
Nataki, did you get the motion or the vote on that? And so did the motion pass?
There were two abstentions.
I voted no.
Oh, okay.
And Ms. Feinstein, can you please come to the microphone here so we can hear you? So, I'm sorry, Nataki, where are we at?
So
I thought the motion passed, I'm sorry.
I didn't see Kalia's vote. I abstained.
So you had 3-4, 2 abstentions, 1 no.
One no, okay.
Okay, so that's not a majority of the
Majority, right. No pass.
us present, so it did not
So
pass.
three yes.
Can we take the vote again for
Take the vote
clarification, please?
Okay.
All in favor?
Okay. Sure.
1, 2, 3. Okay. And opposed is 2, so that's a majority.
Okay.
No, there are 6.
Wait a minute,
There are 6. There are 6.
Maybe you had to leave.
There are 6 board members up there,
Right.
and 3 voted in favour, so the motion fails.
We said 4 voted in favor.
Okay, if 4 voted in favour, then the motion passes.
Correct.
Okay, I didn't see 4.
Thank you.
Okay, so Nataki, do you have everyone who is for this? Can we just do, who is for the motion?
Sure, I got that.
Okay. And then we had an opposition or opposed?
Yes.
1.
One in opposition and then 1 abstention, right?
Right.
Quick question, were we trying to submit a new, for the landscaping? Was it staff's suggestion?
So John's motion included landscaping.
The motion included working with urban forester for landscaping once the driveway is complete to soften like we've done in others. Yes.
Provide some screening for
Yes,
them.
screening,
Yeah.
that better word than I had. Yes, some screening to, so when the plants mature, people just driving by, glancing, probably would just see plants and not cars.
Ms. Veinstein, I will follow up via email and provide Mr. Babb's contact information. He's the urban forester. And so if you just make sure that we work through with the landscaping piece, then we're all good.
We'll definitely do that. He was planning on doing some landscaping after, and he's already been in contact with him on the tree situation and done some stuff there, so we'll definitely follow up with that.
All right.
Thank you. Thank
Yes,
you very
ma'am.
much.
Thank you. We need to discuss the minutes of the last meeting. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes from the last meeting? No. If not, they stand approved as read, as mailed. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.